What is up, guys? It is February 9th, and a lot of what we were talking about, what was happening yesterday in the market, has played out almost to exact measure of what we were expecting. We took short positions in the crypto market yesterday and came out with great gains. That's something that we're going to cover tonight. But instead of news, a good friend of mine, Ryan, from the podcast Uncomplication, he's a great guy. He also runs a crypto trading channel and service as well, pointed out that I haven't really talked about myself at all. And I think that's a great point. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my trading background, what got me interested in learning about markets, and more about myself, Joseph Watson. So this is the Current of Currencies podcast. I am Joseph Watson. Let's get to it. I'd also like to remind everyone that I am not a financial advisor, nor is anybody who works for me on my platform. We are only giving out paper trading advice, which is hypothetical situations of us buying and selling stocks, equities, and cryptocurrencies. Thank you. While a lot of people get into investing in many different ways and times of their lives, I definitely can say my story is a bit different from the norm. In one case, I grew up watching my father and his brother trade, and they were pretty good at it. So I always had an ear to the market in the sense of just knowing what the stock market was, what the economy was, and understanding really just stock to flow models of supply and demand. It was very simple. I understood this at a young age, and the concept of markets and salesmanship was always pretty prevalent in my life. It's pretty funny. I always had a merchant mentality. I can remember going back, I would always do things like I would be taken to the fireworks store by my dad, and I would get a whole bunch of fireworks and put it in a like artwork supply box, and I would sell them to kids when I was younger. I was just a badass kid. That's what it comes down to. But what bolstered that, and what I say is much different about what got me into trading, is not cryptocurrency, but something that came much before. Can you guess what it is? Well, it's Runescape. Runescape is an online MMORPG that is like a fantasy adventure type game. And you basically are in a free roam type world with other players that you are interactively playing and trading with for different items. And of course, there's bosses that you can get special items from. And they actually had an extreme ecosystem of trade volume so that you could get levels and continue to play the game better and better. There was even spots in the game like the Grand Exchange that were basically selling hubs for players to go to so that you could trade your goods for GP in-game. And there's also something called real-world trading that I'm going to get into a little bit later. So like pre-2007, being completely hooked on this game and just really getting the full new force of the internet in my hands, I always spent time playing this game. And you really do need solid trading and bartering skills of having, I guess, virtual P2P interactions with people. And it is a merchant type game in a lot of senses. Now, there's another very interesting caveat to this, is because it's such a popular game, people want to basically boost their accounts through any means possible. And one thing that is illegal in the game but widely done and speculated upon on the internet a lot actually is something called real world trading. Now, this is when people generate large amounts of GP through a wide means of purposes like botting, Discord channels that basically buy gold from players, normal methods of farming gold, but basically these farms take all of the in-game gold. And it doesn't only happen for RuneScape. This happens to a lot of games that have a digital currency system implemented in them. But these these people will farm gold and sell it for actual currency on the real world market. Now, again, this is illegal in the game. I've never done this, but getting back to my story, you'll understand how this plays in. Now, I have to go back to around 2011 and 2012 because that was when I got my first tamperings with Bitcoin. And I remember trading Bitcoin for, and not even trading. You would literally have to send deposit slips through the mail to people to get Bitcoins, and then they would fund you through your super old wallets. That's a story for another day, but I remember paying less than $10 for Bitcoins, and many of them at that rate. But so, you know, the sentiment of digital currencies was always very straightforward to me. It always made sense. That's why I love the idea of what cryptocurrencies have become and study them, study blockchains and many other things in the space. So, because I believe it's our future. It's a monetary revolution that we're going through right now. It's obviously holding its weight against many other softer currencies in our space. And I myself personally want to use my time and energy to continue to push the sentiment forward, push the technology forward where I can, because I'm not a developer or anything like that. But I have consulted for projects before, and that's something that I would like to do and continue to learn about and add on to my resume in the future. Now, to be completely fair, I never held coins long term in that sense. I was not one of those people that held Bitcoin for the last 10 years and became unfathomably rich off of it. I did not look at it that way. It was more so just something that I watched play out and had involvement with in my own reasons and terms. But the most interesting part was I kind of correlated it to other digital currencies like in-game currencies that, you know, I had already been working with my entire life. Now, if you play RuneScape, you know what this is, or at least you should. The real OGs know. But this is a blue party hat. Now, the funny thing about this object is I love the story of this because one of these in-game is an amount of money that you need other items to pay for in obscene amounts of stacks. And if you actually trade the gold version for a US dollar currency, one of these in real world trade in RuneScape is about $34,000 in gold in RuneScape. Mind blowing. And this is why I wear this all the time, because in the game it's something like 38 billion GP in the game. But the funny part about RuneScape is that the gold caps out at 2.147 billion, so you can't even own 38 billion in a stack of gold. So that's why I wear this, and that's why it's a prop, because this is the billionaire's lucky cap. And seriously, this is the original NFT to me. I just needed to point that out because this is the real original NFT. So in 2015, Jagex, the company that owns and creates the content for RuneScape, implemented something called the Grand Exchange to try to ward off this real-world trading. And it ended up completely working against themselves, ironically, because they didn't realize their players outsmart them with just about everything that they do. That's a case for another day, though. What this basically put in my life was a market type system where I was spending a lot of my time basically tracking prices so that I could buy the items that I needed in game. And this was literally like a stock market type setup. I'll throw some screenshots in here right now, but you can literally go search the items, see how much they are. You can buy certain amounts of them and raise the prices up. And in real world trading environments, a lot of people do price manipulations in that sense to generate gold for their farm, which then they trade for real world money. Now, again, I didn't even tell you guys this, but these people make, and the higher end people make millions of dollars. Some farms generating hundreds of thousands of US dollars a month. And the more interesting part is a lot of them are cryptocurrency based. Now, this isn't illegal in the sense of, is it illegal federally? No, it's legal federally. Just in the world of RuneScape, it is not legal at the company. Just to be clear. So a lot of these people end up, going, seeing tax making sure they have tax experts and making really great money, taxed, legal, clean money, doing things like this. And, pick your favorite video game with a currency in it, and I'm sure it can be manipulated somehow. That's just how monetary policy works. That's why we study monetary policy, so that we can manipulate it in our way so that we can benefit from it. So basically, years go by after 2015, and I'm more and more understanding what the stock market flow might look like playing this game, and just correlating it more to the everyday life type things that I see. I use the internet more and started doing more research about actual markets. And around 2018, 2019, I really got the crypto bug and started going full in depth on learning what cryptocurrencies were. So in 2019, I made a first large sum amount Bitcoin purchase, and it's basically just been moving forward from there. And a lot of my trip has been mostly gains, but definitely hard losses that have gotten me in more of a trader mentality. I would love to do a video on why I feel investing and trading are two things. I absolutely understand that trading is investing, but I use the two terms in a time scale sense because I feel like investors typically take longer amounts of time in their trades, while traders, it's more circumstantial. And I am more of a circumstantial trader. I think if I explain to people, and especially a typical retail investor, not talking down to anyone, they would kind of turn their head sideways and just be like, how does that work? Again, a lot of my analysis is purely technical analysis. I don't really go by gut much, and I'm highly Again, explaining my strategy is very hard. It's more so something that you would have to sit down and I would tell you why I do certain things at certain times. I wouldn't say it's loose, but I still am building it and trying to perfect it, but it works, and I can pull large percentages very fast doing what I do, which is why I enjoy it and also why it's profitable to me. I make the majority of my money trading, whereas a lot of people will work a 40 to 60 hour job. I would just rather be in front of a computer, just clicking buy and sell and setting limit orders and stop loss trails. So, that's just like what I want to do for my life the next couple of years. And I thought making a trading channel would get me that much more interested because I have to cover news. And I do this anyway, so might as well share it. Might as well get a feeling for who else is in the space that wants to learn. I would love to meet up. I am actually considering doing workshops, something like a quarterly 2-day workshop where you can come in, and I do talk about strategy and give you the core first principles information on how to start investing, and basically everything from getting your foot into the water to a little bit more advanced stuff, and then what you can do after the workshop to continue your education. So again, if you like my content on the channel, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, tick the little bell, get all of my notifications as soon as you can, because we are trying to update you with the market information that we get as soon as we get it. And again, we will make better decisions at the end of the day because of it. I hope you do continue on this journey with me, but let's get to the charts. Starting out with the Fear and Greed Index, we have seen an increase of about 3 points as there has been bullish momentum in the markets. But is there trouble on the horizon? Let's look at the S&P. We are in a cloud of potential support right now because, again, we did break back up over it, but we are trading in it, which is why I have it flipped red. So looking at the 1 hour, what I'm kind of noticing, and especially on the lower end, is we're going in somewhat of a symmetrical wedge pattern, and that looks something like this. So really at this point it's 50% break up, break down, and we'll have to watch. But is this a failure to retest and regain, and we have seen a rejection and are starting to play out right now? Or is this a pullback so that we can find support in this major support area and then continue to move forward? That's yet to be seen, and this is what we are going to be tracking for the rest of the week with the S&P. The Dow Jones is painting another picture that has a much clearer wedge or ascending wedge playing out, and 60 to 80% of the time when these pop up in a chart, they typically go to the downside. So we will definitely be watching this. We are above this at close today, so I'm going to flip this back to support. So are we going to see a double top? What's our other indicators look like? We are not very overvalued yet with our relative strength. Our trend isn't that bullish right now, but again, after what just happened, I'm not surprised that there's not a large amount of good sentiment in the market. Let's look at our dollar. We've had 2 fake outs right now for this channel that we've been trading in. And are we going to continue to move back up and trade in it or not? Well, what kind of worries me is I think this could be a bear flag, and that's when you see price action go something like this. And then the price action isn't bullish, so it consolidates, and then you get a move downwards that's very fierce. Now, this could be for a few reasons. This could be because the Fed is now stating that they absolutely are going to be having interest rate changes in the coming months of March. So this is something that we definitely have to continue to keep our ears and eyes on, and I will be covering that story on this podcast. So again, tick the little bell, subscribe, so that you can get all of the news as soon as I get it and put it out. I always am doing my own research, as I suggest you do as well, and I am happy to be another source for you. So looking at U.S. oil, we have seen just this immaculate rise again from low point to top, or to current price, 42, almost 43% since December of 2021. So we have not broken this trend line, but on the lower chart, we have seen a massive pullback of about 4.20%, about. So again, still very bullish on U.S. oil. Let's just look at some other indicators while we're here. Yeah, it looks like it's consolidating. You can definitely see that in the price action, and we have a floor and maybe even a macro floor. No macro floor yet, but oh yeah, here you go. Looks like a market floor has been signaled back here as well. So I'm going to say bullish on oil, and especially right now. I totally think we're going to continue this in what is now kind of looking more and more like a channel. Yeah. We will be tracking this as well here on the Current of Currencies podcast. We got gold, also extremely bullish move. Looking at the hour, man, if you had gotten back in down here, which some of us did, seeing a nice almost 3%, and hopefully we'll be getting to that 3% increase. And can't say this enough, this commodity is going to be extremely important in the upcoming months. And I'm not a gold bug saying that, so just watch this one for sure. In the crypto market, we are now seeing a fear and greed index shift back up to starting to get greedy. We are at 54, and I believe yesterday we were at 48. So that's a huge shift, and this is why. We saw a huge basically pump in the last few days looking at the 1 hour. And the reason why I ran off the podcast last night is because if you go to the end of the video, you can see right around here, I was like, what? My eyes got wide, and I was like, we are hitting the $2 trillion major resistance level. And I even told you guys, I was like, I am definitely going to be considering putting in shorts. And lo and behold, about 15 minutes after I got finished and packed up everything, I put in my shorts and got a nice little ride down from about here to about 60% of the movement to this candle around 11 this morning. So I made about, I want to say at least 72% on a small portfolio, and I do what's considered higher risk leverage trading. And yeah, I made about 72% in a matter of 4 to 6 hours. So again, this is a very small amount of money. Like, it wasn't some crazy gain, a totally retail level, but you would be surprised with the right strategy and the right timing how well you can do in these markets. So looking at Bitcoin, again, we just ripped through support, or ripped through resistance level. This is all of our major support levels, as you can see noted here. Well over the 200-day, huge spread on the EMA ribbon, so just so much support. And why I draw these boxes are basically, you can see how the support lines up. Again, the higher support bands are this level now, and price action will tend to go as time goes on to show you where these reversals can go. And these would go back literally for months, so, or probably years at this point. Just to give you a little, there's my weekly, but where'd my drawings go? There you go. Yeah. But always note those levels, and especially when looking at my charts, because it will give you an indication of something like what happened here. We saw a huge that manipulated wave, and totally was manipulated. I'm calling it. The institutions are front running the Bitcoin price right now. We saw a massive pump, roughly almost about 8% from the manipulated area, and then right when we hit that $2 trillion level, we saw a morning star, which I also didn't call out but noted on the 1 hour, and then we saw a price reversal, and I had put in a short probably right around this area and took it down about 60%. So that was a great trade today that I made. And Ethereum as well. I didn't take a position on Ethereum, but definitely was not a bad trade to make. And just look at this momentum. And Ethereum has a lot more support resistance reversal levels, but just, oh man, it just always bugs me out thinking of when we were at the all-time highs and what's happened over the last couple months. And this is why you want to be a trader, so that you weren't buying up here and selling down here. So, and this is what I preach on this channel. Just know when to take profits. So coming up on the Ethereum chart, again, do we just test out of this level now? Are we going to continue this trend? We saw a small fake out here. It was really more like a bullish W pattern, which ended up skyrocketing us up into that manipulated level that happened. And then this is what happened the last couple days. So do we continue to use this as support to our rise up, or are we going to trade sideways and break out of what is also looking like a symmetrical wedge here as well? So we'll be tracking it. I will let you guys know tomorrow how the markets played out. There's some ideas for you. Again, if you like the content, please give the video a like, tick the little bell, subscribe, and turn on all of the notifications so you get our information as soon as possible. This is the Current of Currencies podcast. My name is Joseph Watson. I hope I got to show you a little bit more about who I am as a person and what and why I do this, and would like to teach more people about this. But about to catch a wave out. Have a good night.